I can hear him, but not very good. How do I fix that? Okay. So we got some crazy camera setup. So this is pretty rad.
Yeah, you have a very decorative setup right there.
We do. We were like, we're ready for you, brother. Ready to bring in this new year, and yeah, we're excited.
Awesome. I'm super excited too.
Hell yeah.
Audio's good.
Yeah, audio's good. Okay, cool. All platforms, audio good. YouTube. We're good on YouTube. So we're streaming on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Okay.
So just they're checking all the platforms just to make sure we're not, getting into the spiel and then we're like, oh, audio's bad. We got to figure something out. So
yeah, absolutely.
Anyway. So Christmas Burns Red, man.
Christmas Burns Red. Yeah, absolutely. That's coming up this weekend.
It's rad. You guys got to be pumped.
Super pumped. You don't know how good it feels to get together again and play songs together, man.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I mean, I'm going nuts here, like with our racing being, all postponed. So I couldn't imagine you guys getting on stage and not being able to do that. Man, I mean, that's going to be great on Saturday.
It's going to be so good. We did it for Thrill Seeker last month, and that was awesome. Playing some songs that we haven't played in 12 years, or ever for that matter. So
that's rad. Really cool. Now, was that your first stream since everything changed last month?
Yeah, that was the first one. It was the 15-year anniversary for Thrill Seeker, and Christmas Burns Red will be the next one. And I guess we'll see what next year is going to be like, and if we're able to hit the road safely, that's what we'll do. And if not, I mean, we'll look into doing the live stream thing again. Yeah.
So what do people need to know about Christmas Burns Red? People that don't know, maybe people on the Kiesel account or even people on the band account. How do people get tickets for this?
Yeah, so you can get tickets for Christmas Burns Red. It's our annual holiday show that we normally put on here in our hometown of Lancaster. But this year we're doing it as a live stream. So you can go to abrlivestream.com. You can get your digital ticket there as well as some pre-order merchandise. And then the show is this weekend, Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific time.
That's awesome. And what is the cost?
$15.
That's rad. That's very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I bet you guys are excited, man. That's so cool.
Yeah, we're super excited. Like I said, it's just like you mentioned about like not being able to race. It's just like when you play, I don't know, how many shows do we play a year? We're on tour for like 5 months a year, it seems. It's like you're playing a show every other night, 5-6 shows a week. And then you go from that to playing 3 shows and 2 streams. So it's just a wonderful feeling to play music together again.
Yeah, and did you like at any point do you get like you're ready to be home? Like maybe last year, like obviously didn't know this was going to break out, and were you at any point last year like I'm just ready to be home? I mean, you love your fans, you love touring, you love everything, but part of you just misses home and you're ready to be done, right? Does that happen to you ever?
Yeah, that does happen. It happened more in the older days when we were like going out there and touring even more, before a lot of our guys had families and stuff like that. We were trying to make a name for ourselves. Think back to like 2008, 2007, 2009. I mean, we were touring. We were going from one tour into another one and sometimes a third one. And so by the end of that third tour, you're really missing home. Nowadays, you do get there. Tours do get long. Some of our tours are 7 weeks over, and like by the end of that tour you're like, okay, I'm tired of seeing this guy's face, I gotta get home. I don't see his face again. So yeah, it's
crazy how that works, because you're like sometimes you're ready to be home, and now it's like you're ready to just get back to what that was. You're like missing it. Like I'm missing like breaking shit on my car, like blowing up engines. You're like, man, I got no drama. Like, it's so I can only imagine what you guys are going through.
Yeah, and sadly, it's a lot of bands, and we're all excited to get back to it, and hopefully, next summer. And no one really knows when we can start things back up, but as soon as it's safest, and we're gonna be there. So.
Well, enough about that, man. I'm excited. We got something really cool that we've been working on together, and for those of you guys that don't know, maybe logging in late. I'm Jeff Kiesel from Kiesel Guitars, and Dustin Davidson August Burns Red, and Dustin is such a key part of August Burns Red. You know, not playing just an instrument, playing multiple instruments, and doing a lot of the writing. Not that playing one instrument wasn't enough, but just such a key cornerstone to what August Burns Red is. And so I've had the privilege of working with Dustin since, 2014 now?
2015.
15, okay. I couldn't remember if it was 14 or 15. And it's been great. I mean, the relationship's been really cool. You know, just trying different things out, you know, learning what each other really likes, or really learning what you like and what the band needs, you know, trying different body woods, trying different tops, trying different electronics, different pickups. And you've pretty much gone through the gamut of what we offer. And, you know, a lot of time went into what this model is, right? You know, all these years to develop where we are right now with your new signature model.
Absolutely. And what's crazy about it is I think that if you would have told me years ago it would be a headless model, I would have been like, really? It would be? Because it's something that's so new to me. I mean, you asked me before NAMM this year, like, hey, brother, do you think you'd play a headless model bass? Like, yeah, I would. And you're like, okay, cool. How about this? Don't show anybody yet, but how about this? You know?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, definitely. I would definitely play it. That's sick. And it's like, got that bass, went out on that Kill Switch tour, played it for 3 shows, and was so sold on it. I've never had, I forgot to say this in that video I put together that's going to go on the site, but I've never had a bass guitar stay in tune the whole set without the need to tune it. We went out on that Kill Switch tour, played 3 songs, 50-minute set. I'd go back to tune and I'd be like, that one's good. That one's good. Good. Sings in tune still? Really?
That's rad.
Really? So yeah, it's just like, even my friends are like, wait, your signature model's a headless? I'm like, dude, sold on it right away. I got used to it like that. There's not anything really I have to get used to. So yeah, I mean, since 2015, we've been going through all different types of wood, shapes, designs, all different kinds of features, electronics even. I love where we ended up. I love the space. It's so sick.
Yeah, and it cuts, you know, and that's so important. You know, I think a lot of people, you know, they focus on what the bass sounds like on its own, that they forget that in especially a metal band, you know, where the bass needs to be, and having it have the ability to cut through is so important. I remember, you know, early on we tried Swamp Ash bodies, and although the basses sound phenomenal, they just don't have the ability to cut through. You know,
Yeah.
And we tried some mahogany, and I think that was definitely an improvement, but nothing has been like these walnut bodies.
Nothing has been like these walnut bodies. That's the wood that I've stuck with since then. The first bass you built me was a walnut body, and then you were like, you know, try out. And I'm so glad you did. You encouraged me to try some different woods. Like, don't put together the same bass. Try some different stuff so you can hear differences in it. And I'm so glad you did that, because I learned that walnut is my tone. It really allows the bass to cut it. It carries the low frequencies better too. Something about that walnut body, the sustain is insane. It's just like, it's the right wood for this bass, and it's the only wood that you can have used for the body, I guess is what I'll say.
Yeah, and that was really important to you. And guys, you know, fans of Dustin and the tone he gets, that was something really important to him, was he wanted to make sure that when the fan bought the instrument, that it was going to replicate what you're going to find on one of the ABR records as far as the tone and what Dustin wants. And so we limited the body wood. It's walnut only. You know, the top is poplar burl. And we have an example. Do I just click this? Brandon, what do I do here to pop this up on? Unfortunately, you're only going to be able to see these examples on YouTube or Facebook. You won't be able to see them on Instagram, but you will be able to see them on YouTube and Facebook because of the wider platform. So we've put up the Aurora Blue and the Scarlet Red, both of your basses. And do you have one there to show off?
Absolutely. I have both here with me.
Cool.
To my right. The lighting is better. Let me carry it over here so I can get a good shot of it. Lift this over. I'm staying at a hotel currently, getting ready for the stream on Saturday.
Nice.
So this is the Aurora blue. Flat black pickguard on there too. That really goes well against the wall too, man. That was your suggestion. Love it.
That's gorgeous. And that's the only way to get a matte black pickguard from Kiesel is on the DD4 is the model, Dustin Davidson 4, and it comes in a 4-string, right-handed only. The base price is $18.99, loaded with the options you're seeing there. So when you buy one of Dustin's basses, it's coming the exact way he would play it in a show. And there are some things you can change from there. You can get different colors. You can change the neck wood. You can get 3-piece necks. They come standard with a 1-piece walnut neck. But you can get 3-piece walnut and maple, walnut purple heart, walnut bloodwood, and also a 3-piece maple with the walnut stripe.
That's right. These here are both walnut. That's the 3-piece walnut and maple. That's the 3-piece walnut and bloodwood. Really goes. That was a suggestion of yours as well. Really completes the look, seeing the walnut against the walnut there.
Yeah, just the strength and stability of the walnut necks. There's just nothing like them. And it is part of the tone too. I mean, it does make a big difference.
Absolutely.
You know, just the sustain, and the walnut's going to be a little brighter than, say, like a mahogany neck. And I really don't recommend mahogany necks for bass anyway, just because there's so much tension on those low strings, and you know, the mahogany tends to not want to stay in tune as good. And you know, these basses are coming with a medium heavy gauge string on them. Not quite the exact same strings Dustin runs, but very similar gauge sizes. They're 45 through 105 is what we're putting on there.
Right, and if anybody does want to put through an order and you want to talk to me on Instagram, reach out to me, ask me what strings I use. They can send in strings for the build.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. We can even do your same tuning too for people. Anybody that wants that, that's not a problem. Just tell your salesperson at that time that you want it tuned the same way, and we can even get those same exact strings for the bass at that point if you want the same tuning.
Yeah. So anybody, if you want to put together a build, you know, hit me up on Instagram, ask me anything. And like Jeff mentioned, most of the options are limited. There's a couple different fingerboards you can put on there, and you know, the necks, couple different choices. Color options, we mentioned those. But yeah, if you have any questions about the setup or strings, hit me up, and you can always send in strings if you want to have the exact setup that I have. And I'll mention too, like when I get my builds from Kiesel, I don't have to do much. So the way they come is the way they get played on stage.
That's awesome. Hey, Zach, is there a way to hide comments on Instagram so that when we're looking at it through other platforms, it's not showing them?
Yeah, there was
Okay.
one person being childish.
Well, that's normal. It's the internet, you know, and they're entitled, you know. So we are.
No, but you know,
Okay.
I'll walk through it.
Yeah, cool. Well, the comments are scrolling over his face, so I was trying to have them. Anyway, it is what it is. So we are going to answer questions, you know, for either myself or Dustin, whether it's you know, this bass. Obviously, I'll be able to answer it as well as Dustin, or just general ABR stuff for Dustin. That's really what questions we're looking for today. What else do you want to say about the bass as far as?
I guess we'll talk about the inlay. I couldn't see what the question was, but I saw somebody say something about the inlay. Here we go. Let me just flip it back around again. Sorry. A couple different options for the colors that you go with the inlay too. The red here matching scarlet wrap. There's the ABRU logo in a beautiful red. This also has staggered dots that if you get the Dustin Davidson signature inlay, that's the way it's going to come. You don't have to get the U if you don't want it. And here it is in white. You also have the option for black as well. If you got maybe the zebra wood board, you might want black. But yeah, I'm so pumped on how that turned out. Jeff and I talked about a couple different options for it, and that's the best way it looked. So
Yeah, it looks cool and stands out. And, you know, one thing Dustin was concerned with was he didn't want someone to have a logo on there. And so you can get the instrument still to support what Dustin's doing, without the U on there. You can get it with the staggered offset dots. So that means you're going to have dots on your low string coming down, and then they're going to switch over and then go down your high string, the remaining 12 or 10 frets, I should say. So you can get that, or you can get no inlays. And touching on fretboards, because these are done with Royal Ebony, you can get blacked out ebony, and you can also get zebra wood fretboards. Those are a couple of options. But really trying to make sure this is an absolute tone monster. Our 18-volt active system is in there. And what that consists of is you have your master volume, which I think is a really key thing here. Because with the master volume and then having a pickup blend, this pickup blend, you don't lose output. Traditionally with pickup blends, you would lose output. So what I mean by that is you roll to the neck pickup, you get 100% output out of the neck. Roll to the bridge, you get 100% out of the bridge. And when you would go in between, meaning you want both pickups to be on, you'd get about 90% and 90% output. So the instrument wouldn't sound as full. Well, that's not the case with the Kiesel electronics. You get 100% neck, 100% bridge when you roll to the middle. And the nice thing is you can do combinations in between, of course. Then you go down to your next control, that's a tone. And that tone will work in either active or passive mode. And if you pull up on the tone, it actually makes the instrument go to a passive setting, which does two things. One, let's say Dustin's in the middle of a set and the electronics, the batteries start to go dead. He can pull up on that tone knob, get him through the set. Or if he wants a different tone, he can go to a passive tone by pulling up. And then below those is a stacked eccentric pots. So you have bass, boost and cut on the bottom, and treble, boost and cut on the top. And with the 18-volt system, you just have so much control and so much power. And then the Jva Pickups, they're plain enamel vintage wire pickups, the old school way of making them, the really expensive way, and they sound very full. They have a lot of balls. To be honest with you, for a single coil pickup, it's pretty amazing what you can get out of them.
Yeah, and also say this too, they're not super noisy. I mean, if you pan it, the whole way up on one pickup, which I'm never going to do, you're going to get some noise. But in the past with other basses that I've had, if I panned it slightly noisy, being a single coil, that doesn't really happen. And I do mess with pickup panning. You get very different tone, just taking it the slightest crank. There's just a lot of different tones you can get with this bass, whether it is playing in active, passive, panning the pickups. But primarily for me, during the set and in the studio, aside from panning the pickups differently, maybe for a section, I play this bass pretty much zeroed out. I just bump the treble ever so slightly, not even a quarter turn, when I'm playing through my Kemper. That's the only thing that I do to all of these basses.
That's rad. Yeah, and just having the fullness in the pickup, is a testament to what Dustin has to do. He doesn't have to do much, and that's just the pickup sounding good right out of the box, which is such an important thing. It's great to have the ability to shape the tone, but if you're starting with a tone that's not good to begin with, you got a lot of shaping to do. But when you have a good tone, you can really dial from that point. You have something that's there, and it's hard when you have something that's thin or you don't quite have the sound and you have to add so much. You're better off having it and taking a little bit away rather than having to add a lot. I mean, especially with recording, it's just, it's going to definitely be the way to go.
And that's the thing too. You mentioned I guess I'll say this: that you can pick this bass up, play it acoustically, and it's going to sound good before you even plug it in. Just you pick it up and play it, and that for me, that's always been the test of if I'm in Guitar Center or where I am, I'm picking up a guitar and I'm playing it. This is kind of whatever. And I pick up one, I'm like, whoa, okay, this probably sounds better than that one. Plug that in. Sure enough, it does. So pick up these basses acoustically. You just play it. You're like, dude, it sounds sick. Not even plugged in. So to me, it's always been a test of how it's going to sound when it's plugged in, based on what it sounds like acoustic. Not that you're ever playing this bass acoustic, but that's usually the tell for me.
Yeah, I would agree. And that raw tone is going to be part of that too. The finish that the bodies, the top and back, are done in, there's a couple colors you can choose from, but the key here is having the raw tone finish. And with the raw tone, you're going to get the warmest possible tone and still have some protection on the instrument. And it has this textured feel and look that is just, it's like nothing else. So when we came up with this finish, we called it raw tone because it's a very raw look and it enhances the tone. So it's a very descriptive name. And so that's how all of these are going to come with a raw tone. And then the back of the neck is going to have a tung oil smooth finish, which is key when you're playing a live show, especially if you're moving around like Dustin does. He's a beast on stage, and I'm sure you're sweating, brother. And if you don't have that tung oil neck, I mean, you're going to get, your hand's going to be sticking on the back of the neck, especially a gloss neck. And so that tung oil neck is making a big difference.
Yeah, that's very important to me to not have a gloss neck. My hands sweat so much. Like, even if I'm not sweaty playing on stage, I guarantee you my hands are dripping sweat. I get beads of sweat on my hands, so I need that tung oil neck. And then the wall tone finish. Even aside from the tone, to me, I love seeing the imperfections in the wood. You can just see so much, just like going up to it here. You can just see the texture in it, and I love that. I love seeing those imperfections.
That's gorgeous.
So sweet. So the raw tone was definitely important to me.
Yeah, and then stainless jumbo frets for the neck, which, you know, for a lot of this style of bass playing is a pretty big deal to have the stainless jumbos. You know, a lot of stainless jumbos are going to go on guitars, but it's so important to have on a bass like this for this style of use. I think it's key, and that's what Dustin wanted, and that's what we put on there. Lumen lay side dots down the neck, so you're on a dark stage, lights go out for a bit, you know, you're still able to play and know where you're at on the neck, and that's a standard feature on not just this, but all Kiesels. It's just what we do. We put dual carbon fiber rods in the neck, so, you know, the big thing for us is we don't want customers or our artists on tour having to make neck adjustments. We want them just to be concentrating on playing and enjoying, you know, after the show, before the show, getting ready and just having a good time and not stressing out on, is this neck going to stay put? Is this thing going to stay in tune? And like you guys heard, Dustin said, he doesn't have to tune these, you know, playing a set and not having to tune them. I mean, that's mind-blowing, right? You know, for how aggressive of a tone Dustin gets and how animated on stage he is, to not have to tune, that's a big deal. It's a testament to the necks.
Absolutely.
Anything else you want to add to this before we open it up for questions?
I think we covered most everything. Really talked about all the options, so yeah, I think let's bring on the questions.
Cool. All right, well, we're going to do the rotation, so we're going to be reading off questions from Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, and the guys are going to go. So what do we got?
David is asking, are the two 9-volt batteries in the preamp in series?
I don't know. Whatever it would take to make them 18 volt. So I would guess that would be in parallel, right? I don't know. It's 18 volts, so whatever that is. Sorry.
Jonathan is wondering, for Dustin, why did you choose Kiesel over other brands?
It's a great question. I think you hear often that it's a family at Kiesel. I really do feel like it's a family. Their instruments, the quality on the build that I'm getting through Kiesel has been better than any brand I've played in the past. Like Jeff mentioned, with the dual carbon fiber rods going in the neck, I have never had to make an adjustment on any of the guitars that I've used in the last 5 years. Now, what does that tell you? It's built right. It's built durable. It's built strongly here in California. I've had basses in the past. I've had neck throughs in the past where the truss rod would start to slip. No longer going to fix that thing. That hasn't happened here. It's just like the durability on these instruments is through the roof on any other brand that I've been in the past. And I'm the guy who tours, plays shows 5-6 months out of the year. So
That's awesome.
How much does the model cost?
The model base price is $18.99, and for that $18.99, you're getting a poplar top, walnut body, walnut neck, royal ebony fretboard, stainless steel frets, the 18-volt electronics, the satin pickguard. I mean, you're getting one of the basses that are on the screen on either YouTube or Facebook for $18.99. And then there's options, to take it up from there. And not many, because Dustin wanted to make sure whatever we do is the tone that he's getting. And that was really important. Absolutely wanted it that way, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, that's the most important thing to me, is making sure that people that get this bass can get my tone. And so that is the number one most important thing, is the bass. Some of you in here might know our front of house engineer, Chris. People have been asking me and him, or just posting on my videos that I've been posting recently, like, what is your tone? And even he gets in there and he goes, it's this bass. So when if you order this bass, you're going to get my tone. So I know you're going to need like the Kemper and stuff, like you're going to need like other stuff as well, but like this is the first thing in line for needing my tone, is this bass.
And I remember too, I don't remember the exact wording, but I remember you telling me that Chris pretty much said that these are the basses you need to be playing when he first heard the first bass we built you, the first headless we built you. Do you remember what he said, or what you told me?
Actually, yeah, and that was our old sound guy at the time. I can't remember exactly what he said, because that was 2015, and I did a blind taste testing is what I wanted to say. It is a taste. It's a taste for your ear, not your mouth. But we did the blind tasting with a tasting. There I go again. A blind hearing test on the basses, playing them live at like a show in a PA system. I was playing Warwick before I joined Kiesel, and so I did like that bass compared to the first build, which would have been a Vanquish bass with single coil pickups. And that was walnut body and burled maple top, satin finish. And it was like, that one. What is that one? That's not the Warwick. He knew it because it was a new tone. So he's like, that's the one you need to be playing. And then same thing with Chris. It's just like, any of the walnut bodies I play them, he's like, that's the one I want you to play. I want you to play that walnut body bass. So
that's cool. And two, the weights on these are going to come in right around 9.25 pounds, which, for a traditional bass, non-headless with a walnut body, you're probably looking more like the 10 to 11 pound range. But these are coming in about 9.25. So you're still keeping the weight down and very manageable. Now, what do we got for the next question?
Diego has a question for Dustin. He's asking, how good does the bass perform with anything other than metal? How versatile is it?
Well, it's very versatile. I haven't used it for anything other than metal, because that's all we're doing right now. And if I'm doing stuff in the studio, it tends to be metal. But as I had mentioned earlier, there's just a lot of different tonal options that you have with this bass, whether it be going from active to passive, or panning the pickups. It's pretty incredible the tonal difference that you get just from like panning the pickups ever so slightly towards the neck or towards the bridge. There's just a wide range of tone that you can get with this bass.
It's awesome, and that's why I think the pan is really key. A lot of like J basses will have the 2 volumes, and that's cool. And the reason why the 2 volumes existed was because you couldn't get 100% output out of neck and bridge together. But the Kiesel system, we've accomplished that with a special potentiometer in there that allows it to be open while in the center detent of the pan to get 100% output. So realize all those jazz basses back in the day, they had to go to 2 volumes because the technology didn't exist to have a single volume with a blend. And with that blend, you can quickly and accurately dial in what you want versus you're fooling around with 2 knobs. And that doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but you get on a stage with, a crowd to thousands of people, you want it as simple and as easy and as accurate and repeatable as possible. And that's, key for, what we were doing here with this.
This one's for Jeff. Why do you recommend walnut body on a bass, but not for a guitar?
Typically walnut's going to be brighter, and for a bass, especially metal, you want something to cut through. And, you know, Walnut's going to do the best job at that with bass. Mahogany does a good job as well, but not as good as Walnut. And with guitar, you typically don't have that problem of cutting through. A lot of times you're trying to tame the guitar back a little bit and not have it so bright because, well, a guitar is a much higher frequency than a bass to begin with. So I don't typically recommend walnut bodies on guitars because of that reason. And also, you know, it does make them heavier, but it's just the brightness and tone. Where a bass, where you have the low fat strings, you need to brighten it up and get it to cut through so you could be heard in the mix.
Will you be playing your signature model for the show this Saturday?
Absolutely. I will be playing it for that. And if you caught the Thrill Seeker stream, I played it for that too. We hadn't really talked about it yet, but I saw some people talking about it, being like, what is that? Somebody hit me up. I see what you have coming. So, yes, I will be using both basses on Saturday, and something special as well. JB and Brent will be playing one of these basses on Saturday as well. So, a little surprise there.
That's rad. It's so cool.
All right, we got a question for Dustin from Stay Metal Ray. He is asking, what were some of your must-have specs when designing your signature bass?
Yeah, so some of the must-have specs were, I feel like we've been saying walnut every other word. Walnut body, must-have. It's really hard to pick apart everything because I feel like you don't really have a lot of options when building this bass. So pretty much all the options that you have with this bass are options that were must-haves for me. Walnut body, absolutely first most important thing you got to have. The poplar top is important for the look because I've always been a burled look like kind of guy and been into that look, so that's important for the look. And the wall tone finish, that was important for me as well. I like the feel of the wall tone finish. As Jeff mentioned, it's pretty key for the tone as well. And then go on from there, the neck. I wanted to keep the cost down, so I didn't go any more than it comes standard with the all walnut neck and then the 3-piece options. I didn't want to go into 5s and 7s because I wanted to help keep the cost down of this bass. So, and the stainless jumbo frets too, I should say that too. All of my builds have had stainless jumbo frets, so that's important too.
And then one more too. I remember working with you, and we tried a lot of different pickups, and we always gravitated right back towards these single coils. And I remember getting this bass out to you, and you were like, "Man, this is it." And that's a big deal. And the setup for these pickups is a 70s style positioning, meaning the bridge pickup is 4/10 of an inch closer to the bridge. And what that does is it gives you more of that bark and that bite off of the bridge to help you cut through. We've offered basses like this with a 60s position, and it gives you more of that low end, but it just wouldn't tonally give the diversity that and the tone that Dustin's needing. So the pickups are a big deal too.
And the pickups are a big deal as well, that's for sure. And if you want to hear, not this one because this is the walnut neck, but if you want to hear what this bass sounds like, I used the one with the maple neck and the zebrawood board. I used that for our Christmas cover we did this year of Mariah Carey's "All I Want for Christmas Is You," which has kind of like a jazzy feeling to it. So if you listen to that song, that is the maple neck with the zebrawood fretboard. I just posted a video on Monday on my personal Instagram as well with that bass. But if you listen to "All I Want for Christmas Is You," that cover we released of Mariah Carey, then you can hear it, what it sounds like in the studio. And that's just that bass going through Kemper patch that I did with our latest record, Guardians. And then just like a little EQ and a comp. So it's very simple.
That's rad.
We got a number of people asking if it is ever going to be possible to get that inlay on a guitar.
Ooh, I don't know. That would be a conversation for another day, I think. I mean, Dustin does play a lot of guitar. There's no doubt about that, and does a lot of the writing in the band. So, we'll see what the future brings on that one. We'll put a pin in it.
This is a two-part question, but what is the official model name? And then is there going to be a 5-string or is it just 4-string?
So the model number is the DD4, Dustin Davidson 4, and there is no plans to do a 5-string on this. The 4 is what's getting it done, and I think we're probably going to stick with that.
Does the base just use 2 common 9-volt batteries?
It does. Yep. And also, too, something I want to add, because I think there's a big misconception with headless, you can use any strings you want, right? I mean, as long as they're for a 34-inch scale, which that's what this is, as long as they're for a 34-inch scale, you can use whatever strings you want, up to, Brandon, what is it? Is it a 135 is the fattest we can fit?
Yeah.
A 135 is the fattest string we can fit through there for your low string. But any strings are going to work, and stringing it up is super easy. Once you do it the first time, you're like, that's it? It's that simple? It's pretty mind-blowing.
Ryan Maines is wondering, is there a signature preamp being used?
No, that's just the factory Kiesel preamp in there, the 18-volt system, just the way anybody would order it. Also, too, hardware is Hipshot, American-made hardware. The nut is proprietary Kiesel design that is made by Hipshot. So if you guys are wondering, like, hey, where's the hardware made? It's made in the New York area by Hipshot.
Is the rear natural clear shown with the red example included in the base price, or is that an added option?
That's a great question, and that is included, the RNC, which is another $50 charge. And we wanted to make sure that we're not, every time you turn around, you're not, oh, there's another $50, another $100. I thought this was what he played. So we wanted to really be, loading them up the way he plays them. And they're actually not just the way he plays them, but if you were to price the instrument out on its own, you would pay more for it. So we're keeping it, fan friendly with an affordable price. That was also important to Dustin. So we went through and said, hey, let's make sure these are affordable to people.
All right, we got a question for Dustin asking, why did you choose the Thanos model over the Vanquish for your signature model?
Yeah, so I played the Vanquish. I played the Vanquish for, I guess it was almost 5 years. And as I had said earlier in the stream, Jeff hit me up about playing a headless, about something I would do, and he showed me, and I'm like, yes, I'd love to try it out. And I fell in love with Thanos just right away, honestly. I played it for the first time just after NAMM when I was visiting the guys at the shop. And I fell in love with it right away. And then I took it out on tour and played it for 3 shows total, 2 on that Kill Switch tour, and we did a headlining show. And as I had mentioned earlier in the stream, I've never had a bass guitar stay in tune like this before. It's insane. And it's, I was kind of nervous at first too, because I have a headless guitar, I have the Zeus. But before that, I hadn't played a headless before, and I wasn't sure what was involved with changing the strings. But as Jeff had mentioned, it's so simple. I mean, you're never going to get more simple than a locking tuner. Just put it through and turn it. But to play a headless guitar, it's not scary to change the strings on a headless guitar. And so, like I was saying, staying in tune was pretty freaking key for me about this bass. The sound, it cut more than the Vanquish, and then on top of that is just the size of it. The case it's smaller than the Vanquish. Doesn't have a headstock. It weighs significantly less than a walnut-bodied Vanquish, and that's the thing you feel. If you grab one of my Vanquishes and grab this one here and hold it up next to it, you're like, whoa, okay, this one's obviously much lighter. And that's the first thing that JV and Brent said when they picked it up. I was like, here, feel this. Now feel what I'm playing. No longer sore back. Not that I was having a sore back, but it's pretty noticeably lighter. So there's a lot of different factors that went into it, but all those kind of added up and just showed me that after playing this bass for a short couple of days, I knew that this was the one.
That's awesome.
We have a number of people asking about multi-scale versions.
Right now that's not what we're looking at, because Dustin's not playing a multi-scale variant. We'll see what the future brings is all I can really say about that. Giving you guys a brand new model today, you know, it's a really cool model, and you know, a lot of thought and effort went into it, and you know, enjoy what you got in front of you, and what the man himself is playing.
I mean, yeah, we've been talking about this since like June or July. So yeah, we put a lot of time into it. We talked about it earlier, but we really got the details over the summer. So yeah,
A lot of phone calls,
yeah,
some good times.
a lot of time going in.
Does it come with passive or active pickups?
So that's a great question. The pickups themselves are actually passive. And the reason why that's such an awesome thing is you have a very full sounding pickup, and then you have an active preamp to further enhance and shape the tone. And I think that's a big misconception. You know, a lot of companies, you know, will have an active pickup where the battery dies, it sounds horrible. You know, you're having all this shaping done, and the pickup itself is totally flat. And that's all great and dandy in a guitar where you're never going to play it, you know, without the active electronics. But in a bass, so many times you want to go passive, you know, 'cause that's part of the tone. You're getting that old school sound. And keeping the passive, great sounding pickup and then adding the versatility of the active to really control and boost and cut and shape makes a huge difference. So they are passive with an active system.
Got a question from John. He's asking, is the bass a 34-inch scale?
It is.
Ryan Maines is wondering, Dustin, if you were to pick one of the Kiesel guitar models to be a signature, which one would you go with?
Ooh. Probably the Aries because of how versatile it is. I mean, I love the hip shot bridge. I like the option of having the trem. And then the Evertune is very important for us when recording in the studio. It's just really nice having a guitar that just really does stay in tune. So, yeah, probably would be that one.
Dustin, what song or songs would you recommend for someone who has never heard ABR?
Great question. Paramount. That's a song off our new record, Guardians. It's very classic ABR to me, but also has a modern influence. And then Three Fountains, which is also on that record, but very versatile and different and diverse.
Got a question for Dustin. He's asking, how do you feel the poplar top affects the tone versus a maple top?
That's a good question. I guess I did play a burled maple top before. And I guess Jeff would have to get into that. Like I said, I don't know how the poplar affects the tone, but because this is a completely different bass than the Vanquish. So it'd be really hard to compare it. I mean, it's different pickups. It's completely, aside from having the walnut body and a different I just know that this is the bass that I desire. This is the tone. I mean, look, when I first had the maple neck with the zebra wood poplar top and walnut body, I didn't know if it was going to be my bass until the real test is, okay, I see what it sounds like on stage. Let's see what it sounds like in the studio, because the studio could always reveal something different. It's not like you have something that sounds good on stage. It's not a promise that it's going to sound good in the studio. And so when we got together to record that Christmas song, as I mentioned, the Mariah Carey song, I brought in the Vanquish, I brought in the Thanos, didn't know what it was going to be. And again, the Thanos won the blind. I always want to say tasting. But the Thanos won against the Vanquish. It was brighter. It really was. But there's just a lot of differences, so I don't know how I could say that the poplar top affects the tone, because I don't have a maple top on this build to be able to compare it.
So, you know, traditionally when you have a maple top, and, you know, maple tops are great. There's nothing wrong with them at all. When you're starting with a walnut body, a very bright sounding body, something's going to cut through. And if you have a maple top on top of that, you also have a top that's wanting to cut through the mix a little more. So calming that down a little bit with the poplar, I think, really balances the instrument out. You know, realize the pickups for this are mounted into the body, right?
Right.
You know, the top is 180 thick, so a little less than a quarter inch. So once you mount, those pickups are mounted into the body. You mount the neck into the body, the bridge, is mounted through the top into the body. So you still have everything mounted to the body itself. So you still have that foundation that's going to give you that bright cut through the mixed tone. And then I feel like the poplar itself is just going to calm everything down and not be too bright. There is such thing as too bright, right? And there's too warm, and I think they complement each other very well. Anytime we sell guitars, I try to balance that, either a softer wood on the top, and a hard body wood, like a Buckeye and a Black Limba go great together. Or the opposite, swamp ash body and a maple top. So this is kind of the same thing, but we flipped it. We went with a harder body wood and a little bit softer top.
And I'll say this too, Jeff. I ended with the poplar top because of you, because you suggested it going with the raw tone. When I first started this build, I put it together and sent it to you, and you made some suggestions. And I think the top that I originally had on it was burled maple.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, you suggested the poplar going well with raw tone.
Yeah, the thing about the poplar that lends itself so well to the raw tone is it's got these natural voids in it, and it's such a cool look and feel when you pick one of these up and you look at it and you're like, how is this not $3,500? This thing is a work of art. And the answer is we sell direct. We don't have the dealers and the distributors marking it up. So you're getting a very high-end bass for an amazing price. And the poplar, again, just lends itself to that, where the burl maple, I was telling Dustin, like, hey, if we go that route, I feel like we should satin it and not raw tone it, because it doesn't have enough of the natural voids to look consistent. It looks almost like, what's with this imperfection here? Every so often, where the poplar, like Dustin says, it's nature's imperfections, and it's in such a way that it looks so cool and looks so badass, where burl maple just doesn't lend itself to these colors as well, and also just to the overall fit and finish.
Richard Ulrich is wondering, Dustin, what is your live signal chain?
My live signal chain is a Kemper in the space. That's all I use. Then the Kemper profile is it's just a profile of a rack-mounted Sans Amp RBI, which I've used since. Oh man, I bought that on the. I want to say I bought that on the In Your Face 2007 tour. I got that in like 2007 or 2008, and then I added the Dark Glass B7K Ultra to it. So that is all my Kemper is. It's just like a profile of a recording from Guardians, which was the Sans Amp RBI, Dark Glass B7K Ultra, and my Kiesel bass.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I mean, that's when it's going to sound the best, is when you're not adding so much to everything.
Yeah.
How does it feel to be a part of the Shaved Head crew?
Oh, it feels wonderful, dude. Jeff's got a little bit more on top than I do.
I need a trim, man. I try to trim it on Fridays, and I try to keep up with it, man. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I got kind of nothing going on anyway, so I may as well keep up with my hair, A lot of projects around the house and just hanging out, man, which has been great. I mean, me and my wife, we spend a lot of time together. We spend pretty much every minute together, so nothing's different for us. It's just we're not going, like on little mini vacations. We're not going to races. We're not going to concerts. We're not getting to see you guys. I mean, that's just what sucks so bad. That's what I miss the most. Is it's not so much just the racing. It's missing all of you guys. And our friends that we race with too. It's missing everybody. That's the thing I hate the most about what's going on right now.
We know that we're going to get back to it. It's coming.
It is. You're right.
Trying to be optimistic.
All right, got another question for Dustin, asking, do you have a preference between the walnut or maple necks?
Ooh, that's a good question. Really, if you watch the video it might not be up yet, but it's going to go up soon.
It's live now.
It is up. Okay, it is up. There's a video up on Mars.com. You can watch that video. It's like 5.5 minutes, and you can listen to yourself. In the introduction video, I'm playing the walnut neck. For the carbon copy section, I'm playing the red bass, which is also a walnut neck. And then I do a tonal difference between the walnut and the maple. And it's very subtle. What I've noticed, at least from just recording it at home, because again, I'm not coloring it. I'm just recording it direct from my Kemper. I'm not coloring it all. I'm processing it a bunch because I want you to hear what it sounds like recorded. I noticed that the three-piece walnut neck that I have on these two basses led to more of a well-rounded tone is what I came up with, where the low end, it had a little bit more low-end presence, but everything was pretty even. The high end was still there. When I played the maple neck, it seemed like I didn't have the same amount of low end. It was very similar, and it felt like the high end was exaggerated just a little bit. But you can achieve that tonal difference in the walnut neck by taking the treble and boosting it a little bit to get it up if you really wanted to. So yeah, if you check out that video, you can check out the differences yourself. I don't know that I have like a preference yet for like which one I prefer because they're just so similar. And if you got the walnut and you were like, oh, I want it to be a little bit brighter, then you can boost the treble a little bit and you're going to achieve that tonal difference. So
That's rad. Yeah, and I would say that's a spot on. Maple is going to be a little brighter. Spot on with how you described it was pretty much how I would describe it.
Yeah, cool.
What do you guys got for questions?
Seth is wondering, what record has the most fun songs for you to play live?
Ooh, what am I playing, bass or guitar? If I'm playing guitar, then Guardians. If I'm playing bass, probably... Rescue and Restore is one of my favorite records. I feel like that's a time where we started experimenting with different tunings. It was the first time on one of our records where we dropped down a half step from C to B. And honestly, the difference that you get between C and B, like that one half step leads to such a darker sound. And so most of the time when I riff at home, I don't play in C anymore. I set up my guitar. All my basses are in C, and I can down tune them with the Kemper if I need to. But all my guitars are set up in B just because I'm more inspired by that tuning. So if I were playing bass, I'd say like Rescue and Restore or Found a Flory Places is a lot of fun songs to play too.
Are there any plans for a Dustin Davidson 6-string?
Guitar, I'm guessing. Not at this point, no. Man, a lot of guitar player fans out there.
Yeah, geez.
Dustin, have you ever messed around with a 5-string? And if so, what do you think of them?
Wow. I don't think I've ever played a 5-string. No, that's a lie. That is a lie. I did play a 5-string once. I guess I would, but I haven't felt the need to get a 5-string. When we're playing live, if we have a song that's in A sharp or A, and my bass is set up in C, I just drop it with the Kemper, and it's fine. There's no latency. And before that, I was using the drop pedal by Digitech. So for me to go to a 5-string, it'd be interesting because I just don't see the need to go to a 5-string at this point.
Nothing on Facebook.
Okay.
Repeats.
What about you, Zach? You got anything? So I think we pretty much got through the questions. Anything last minute, like a recap on this? Anybody logging in late? I guess I'll go and shoot. Dustin Davidson signature bass DD4 is up on the Kiesel website, so you can check that out. It's headless, uses American hardware made by Hipshot, a proprietary nut system by Kiesel, walnut body, poplar burl top, finished off in a raw tone, ultra thin finish to really enhance the tone. Single piece walnut neck, and these are all standard features. There's other options you can get. Royal ebony fretboard, stainless jumbo frets, the DD4 signature inlay with the staggered offset, the 18 volt system with the single coil Kiesel Jva Pickups, and I think that's about it for standard. Satin black pickguard too, and that's exclusive to the DD4. So these are available. They're on the site. Dustin did a cool video talking about it. You can check that out, and share it with a friend, man. Share it with somebody that plays bass. Share it with an August Burns Red fan, or just a music fan in general. And keep up with what Dustin's doing and what the band is doing. They have their show on Saturday, Christmas Burns Red. Support them. Get a ticket, $15. Watch it. Hang out and support a really rad band. That'd be really cool. What else do you have to add, Dustin?
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Super excited about this launch. It's an honor. Thanks for putting this together with me. I'm really excited, and for anybody who's wanted to have my bass tone, this is what you need. Is this bass? So go to KieselGuitars.com and mess around with it and build your own. And if anybody has questions on it, if you want help with the build, like I said, there's not a lot of things you can change about it, but there are a couple different options for the fingerboard and the neck. And if you have tonal questions, and I'd love to help with your build. If you have questions about my setup and what strings I use, happy to talk to you about that on my Instagram. And you can always send in your own strings if you want to have it set up from the guys and get it the way that I get my instruments. But that was the most important thing, was that you get the same thing that I get. I didn't want to put my name on something that was, built in a different country with cheaper parts. And so it's really important to me to have a good representation of my tone. So if you get the DD4, that is what you're going to get. You're going to get the same quality build that I'm going to get.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I think that's so cool, to have that outlook. It's kind of rare these days, to really want to make sure your supporter and your fan is getting exactly what you play. I think a lot of the guitar playing community doesn't really know that you might get someone's signature model, but you're buying a overseas made. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But you might be buying something that's, $1,000 or less. Well, the artists you support and love, they don't even play that. Theirs is a $5,000 or $6,000 unobtainium. But with Kiesel, we can keep it affordable for everybody. Dustin's getting these same exact basses. So for $18.99, yeah, it's not the $900 price point, but it's American made, carbon fiber rods, stainless steel frets, lumen lace side dots, and amazing woods and components, all American hardware. And you can't beat it. You just really can't. You can go play a show and go get in a big metal band like Dustin, with the same bass.
That's right.
That's cool. Well, awesome, brother. Well, it was good hanging out with you. I really appreciate you. We'll definitely catch up when we're off the live. And, fans, thank you for hanging out to support this launch. And if you have questions, as always, hit up Dustin or call my guys, 858 Guitars. You can log online. The model's DD4, and put one in your cart and check out, and let's get you a bass.
Absolutely. And as Jeff mentioned, Christmas Burns Red is this Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. You can get a digital ticket at abrlivestream.com and watch us play some new songs for the first time, because we haven't been able to tour Guardians yet. So we're going to play some new songs for the first time. We're going to play some Christmas songs. I'm going to be playing guitar. I'm going to be playing bass, doing some vocals, doing a little bit of it all. So come check it out this Saturday.
That's awesome. All right, guys. Well, that's it. We're going to sign off. And thanks again for watching and being part of this.